I don't want to alarm you, but World War III is coming. And it's not just a nuclear war, it's a spiritual war. I am renewing the Third Eye Wide podcast after being dormant for a year and a half, going in a completely different route with a different podcast, just to come back here and talk about what is happening in the world and what it means for you and how to protect yourself against the attack on our spirit. The Third Eye Wide podcast is about lifting the veil and seeing things for how they really are. So this is the perfect opportunity to renew this podcast because this topic is so important. And I want to help open your third eye so that you could see beyond the illusion and the fear and the division that is being sown on a daily basis, multiple times a day for the last 5 years since COVID, essentially. So if you were an Intuitive Alchemy Collective member watching this, I made this for you specifically so that we could develop our understanding of manifestation beyond the mind, becoming magnetic for what we want, but also repelling what we don't want, and maintaining a high frequency so that you will not be burdened by what is happening, no matter what is happening, and how to protect yourself against it. So this goes perfectly with our teachings this month on quantum magnetism. If you want to check this out and join us, see the link in the description or pinned comments to check out the Intuitive Alchemy Collective. Anyway, so let's get started. This is such a perfect episode to start with because I want to help you just protect your spirit and to live a life wilder than your wildest dreams. Despite what is happening in the world, despite the oppression of the system, you always have a choice, and all they want is your attention. Out of everything that is done, your attention is most important because without your attention and your compliance, they have nothing to feed off of. So I want you to understand this on a matrix level, that being trapped in the fear and the division and constantly arguing and focusing on things you can't control, especially in other parts of the world, which virtue signaling does nothing for, by the way. So it's almost as bad as doing nothing. And if you don't agree with that, this isn't for you. So this is going to help you just endure what is going on, but also enjoy life, knowing that you don't have to give these things attention, and you could focus on being present in your life and cultivating a positive environment that you feel safe in, and you're contributing to the world in a way that is centered from good intentions and just good values and not virtue signaling nonsense. It's literally you are the change that you want to see, and then your impact grows and grows and grows because people want to do the same thing. People want to heal. There is an increase of people going to church, like in record levels because of what's happening. People are realizing that there is evil going on, and whether it's conscious or not, people still feel it. And that's what I want to talk about, is how it impacts us on an energetic level and how it impacts our mental health and how things actually should be, and just how things are working from a spiritual lens, so I could help you understand this better and realize that you don't have to be afraid. God is with you always, and I want to make that clear and help you just thrive in the uncertain times, because this could really just be a waste of life, especially when you give it all your attention and all your energy, because that's what they want. It's like the Matrix. Like I said, they're siphoning it out of you. Your attention is your energy, because you'll notice that it depletes you and it makes you anxious and you don't know why. And so many people are like depressed and anxious and scared, but they don't really have actual concrete reasons to be scared, because ultimately their waking life isn't affected. It's literally all mind torture, spiritual warfare, attack on our spirit. So this is the current global climate, and it affects us on a mass consciousness level. The whole entire collective conscious is being attacked constantly, every day, for years and years and years, so that it just sows more fear, and it has to go even more drastic and more sensational in order to maintain our attention. And to do that, they have to keep making it crazier and crazier and crazier to make us more afraid, because we're so desensitized and we have the attention span of a fly because of social media and being on the internet constantly and doom scrolling your life away and seeing all this. And you go numb to it, because you realize that unless you are being the change that you want to see, you're not doing anything about it, and you feel like you're powerless or you're hopeless. And I want you to realize that there is always hope. Things could be completely dark. I was in a state of existential dread and suicidation many, many years ago before I met my husband and healed from all these things. And what saved me was having hope for the future and knowing that I can make choices to enrich my life, and I have the choice to put my attention where I want. That makes me feel good and makes others around me feel good as well. And it just cultivates, harvest in every area of your life when you start to work from within, and then that just shines outwards. You don't need proclamations on social media to be like, look how how concerned I am for the people in this area, but you're not even focusing on your own problems or the people or the problems that are happening in your own backyard, which is what's happening underneath this surface. While your attention is diverted, they're doing things in the background that you're not even aware of. And it goes so deep that I would have to keep doing episodes of this podcast just to talk about it. So if that interests you, let me know in the comments, because I'd love to keep doing this and just make content wherever I want, however I please, based off of what God is leading me to talk about, which is today is this topic. He gave me a clear sign. I opened my phone and it was talking about World War III and how it's here. And then I pulled some cards and it was also talking about this institution that is using its power to corrupt people and oppress them and to bring in a totalitarian state. And then as I sit down to record this episode, I look down at my phone and I see 666. So it's not more obvious than that. So I do have to talk about this and the implications of not speaking about this, because this is my way of contributing to the world, means that we are going to feel what's happening no matter what. So to bring awareness is the first step. The first and most important step is to have awareness and then to use discernment to realize what's actually being said. So when you do this work, you're even able to look at headlines and see the narrative that they're trying to spin to either sow division or fear or unrest, essentially. So in order for them to control us and to bring in an even more extreme state of control, they say it's either for our safety or they implement martial law in order to override the Constitution and human rights, essentially. So when they do this, they are creating a situation that warrants using martial law. So for example, what's happening in the United States right now with the deportations and ICE and all that, it's all just to get us riled up. So the Democrats brought in all the immigrants. That was the crisis. And now the solution from Republicans is to get rid of them. And I really want to not look at this from what you think is right or wrong. I'm not discussing that. I'm not discussing the legalities of it, just how they use both sides to create division that keeps us divided and fearful and prevents us from colluding together and overcoming the government and conquering them, because that's ultimately what it's going to take to save us, is to realize both sides are against us. It's like WWE, they're enemies and it's all fake and it's a fight, but in the background, they're literally employed by the same person. So I want to look at it from that perspective, because it literally has turned into WWE. And then the Trump Elon Musk breakup is just, it's too unreal. To me, these things are so obvious, and I just want to help people see beyond the veil. But I also understand, like, this takes upgrading your consciousness on an everyday basis and not being afraid of it, because once you start to become awake, you will go through an inevitable dark night of the soul, and it'll be scary and you'll lose hope. And then all that fear just culminates more and more, because you're starting to see things that you don't want to see. And a lot of people aren't willing to even admit, because it's too evil. It is so evil what is happening and what they're doing and what they have been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years, that it's just history repeating itself in different iterations. So this is modern day warfare. This is what the World War III narrative rhetoric is all about. and how they use it to control us. So when we awaken it, it's really scary because we feel even more out of control, and that these things are bigger than us and that there's no hope. But in our lifetime, something drastic will happen. So it's either them crumbling the system or us breaking it and getting rid of it, and then doing a different way to go about things that don't involve the people who have been in control for the last hundreds and hundreds of years. And we're in a dawn of a new age. We are two different parallels right now. So there's one side that is good, and all this stuff is happening on purpose for the higher purpose of our evolution as a collective, and how to bring in the age of light. That's where I exist. That's where people who see how these things work exist, because they know that it's serving a purpose and it's not for us to understand. God says, do not lean on your own understandings. It is God, and he's in control, and he says, do not be afraid. That is the most quoted quote in the whole Bible, is do not be afraid, for I am your God and I am with you. So I want you to just feel safe in that presence, knowing that right now your reality is largely untouched by what's going on in the world. Life goes on and we adapt. So I take solace in the fact that as these things happen, humans respond accordingly. And if anything, what evolution has taught us, and how things work, and how we've gone from living in caves to here now, it's because humans have adapted and they've conquered. And so even with this AI revolution, nothing could happen to us, because even though they're smarter, quote unquote, the AI, we are so different. Like, man-made things cannot be divine intelligence, which is how God designed us to be. We are too adaptable, we are too malleable, and our survival skills are crazy. And so we always adapt to the things that are happening, no matter how bleak it is. There's always ways to go about it. So for example, with cybersecurity and them monitoring our activity and bringing in the technocratic state and increasing that surveillance and really invading our privacy, people will respond and create things on the good side, quote unquote, that combat that. So right now that would be like VPN, things that hide your IP address, and even putting like tape on your webcam, like Mark Zuckerberg does, and has admitted to that that's how they spy on us, and he puts tape on his webcam. You're protecting yourself from like this onslaught by adapting to it. Even though it's horrible, we're so adaptable and we overcome it. So do not have fear, because man-made things never, ever, ever beat divine intelligence. It's like thinking the earth is going to die because of what humans do to it. No, the earth will always be okay. It's humanity that will die. And we go through these cycles for eons, because that's how we evolve and how things, continue onwards. And there are extinction periods for a reason. So it's going to be by our own hands, which is the sins that we live in. So if this is what saves our soul or gets people to wake up, and then we overcome these tyrants and build our own systems and our own actual communities, where we return back to how we're meant to live by being sovereign, essentially, and knowing how to live off the land and all that, that's what's going to be a result of all of this. So to me, it's a good thing. So you could either live in the timeline where things are great and everything's happening for a purpose and my attention is my most valuable asset, or the doom and gloom dystopian hellhole that exists. And they both exist at the same time, regardless of the cognitive dissonance that happens. You have the ability to see things how you want, to know that they can never, ever control your free will, because that is a God-given right that they cannot take away. So they spend a lot of time and money and energy to just take your attention, because they cannot control your free will. It is a universal law. They could try all they want, but unless you kill someone, that's the only way to terminate or exterminate their sense of free will. So this is to give you purpose and to help you awaken to these things, and to equip yourself with the spiritual armor to empower yourself, so that your magnetism isn't affected and you're repelling the things that aren't good and protecting yourself from it at the same time, while manifesting things with ease and with joy and play, because you are putting your attention on things that feel good and pretty much tuning out all the noise. So implement things like apps like I have that help you stay off these platforms and to give you reminders to get off them and to not give them your attention, or really curating your algorithm with good content that makes you feel good and not political content. Like if you keep feeding it that, by giving it your attention, it's going to keep showing you that. So this starts by being aware of how you're cultivating your own anxiety and letting your imagination get the best of you and letting them lead and, form your thinking and your thoughts and your beliefs. If you want to be a free agent, you need to start tuning out this noise. All it is, it's just noise and distractions. So spiritual warfare is not just like religious warfare like they haven't done in church, but also how that works on like a collective level with the point of the church and the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire has never collapsed. It's only evolved into something more covert and sinister, and it changes hands. So the elite control who controls the world for a certain number of years. So hundreds of years, America has been the most powerful country, and now China is, really close to implementing this technocratic state, because that's what they've been focusing on, and how they indoctrinate their children into, warfare and making it so normalized. So it's a battle for your consciousness and your vibration, your willpower and your choice. So what you focus on, what frequency you operate at, and whether you align with fear or faith is going to be what your reality projects. So if you are in control of yourself and you realizing you're not a victim and that you have the power to make different choices, and you maintain a good vibration by tuning out the noise and taking care of yourself and surrounding yourself with supportive people, going after your dreams, living your purpose, and then your consciousness, that's what you're focusing on, is all of that. So that all culminates into a very enriched, empowered lifestyle. And it's a spiritual lifestyle because that's what you're using to look at everything in your life, including what's happening on a collective conscious, and how your frequency is actually what makes the difference, not you claiming what you think is moral or right or wrong. The truth is the way and the life. So if you are living that way from the basis of love and a high frequency, like love is the highest frequency, especially self-love. So there's so much trauma that's at play right now, and codependency at play right now, that translates into the culture that fills our lives and the beliefs that we operate from. And it's a very codependent, toxic culture, especially in Canada and America. And so it's up to us to heal the trauma that we've got passed down through our ancestors and through our parents and our grandparents, and being the change now and healing the timelines in which you exist so that you could help raise the collective conscious. That's the difference that you can make. So the more that you enrich your own life and heal your own wounds, the more you contribute to humanity. It's not about virtue signaling nonsense. It's about actually doing things that make a difference. That's what it comes down to. So if you're not doing this, you will often feel like everything is confusing, you're overwhelmed constantly, you're exhausted from being plugged into the black screen and being depressed and feeling a sense of despair. And instead of addressing these root causes, we just say, slap a label on it, you're mentally ill. How are you mentally ill for not being able to adapt to this dystopian hellhole that we live in? It's like a Band-Aid for a gushing wound. It's ridiculous, and it's gaslighting to say that this is how we're meant to live while feeling horrible. We are here to live a life of, we're meant to here make heaven on earth. And right now the devil is in control, and this is literally hell on earth. And that's a conversation for another day. But when you embody the divine, you start to raise the collective conscious, and we become less divided and more unified. So it's about unity right now, and that's what's going to heal us, is the unity. So love thy neighbor. That's what it comes down to. So when the war is for your soul, Distraction is the deadliest weapon. So this is the war on the mind, using programming and fear and media manipulation, and how fear is used to lower your frequency to induce passivity. You're more focused on surviving. The cost of living is insane. You're exhausted all the time just trying to keep your head above water. So that prevents you from taking action because your body is in a state of freeze and fear. You are literally in a constant survival state because of how they make us live, how they enslave us, and how they keep us trapped in the 3D and the matrix and essentially take away our soul, the connection to our soul and the divine and to God, because God is what's going to save us. God is always with us. So predictive programming is what I mentioned earlier with the cause and effect. Implement the problem, introduce the solution. They make a climate crisis so they could bring in their BS green initiatives that are worse for the environment than fossil fuels. And it's just ridiculous. Like, it's so ridiculous. They create the problem, geoengineering, for example, they create environmental crisis, and then that's their solution is geoengineering. It's insane. It's once you start connecting the dots, it's ridiculous what they do. It's almost laughable at this point. To me, I laugh at this, at everything, because it's ridiculous, and all I'm focused on is my family and making a difference and living my purpose and cultivating an enriched life. I'm so wealthy because I have a happy, healthy family. I'm happily married. I have 2 beautiful children. I've overcome trauma and poverty and PTSD, and I live with bipolar. So I'm an example of the inner work that it takes to not only live an enriched life, but to have that life impact others by being an example of what's possible when we have awareness, when we take accountability, and we change the culture that exists in the world by healing our own trauma and not giving into this programming and the constant exposure to, extreme imagery like sexual imagery or satanic imagery, apocalyptic imagery, when we're watching media like The Handmaid's Tale and the Black Mirror. Like, these things are all part of that programming. What we consume is all part of it, and that's our attention, giving them our attention. And the Roman Empire would be like what they used as gladiators is now, WWE and football and sports. It's all meant to just keep us entertained, but it gets more and more extreme just to hold our attention. But history will repeat itself, and the Roman Empire in Rome collapsed, and the Roman Empire here, why we have the American Pope, is not a coincidence. The Roman Empire is switching to America. So this empire is collapsing, and they're essentially shooting themselves in their own foot. So Trump, he's either like a free agent that they can't control, and why they're so afraid of him, and why there's so many narratives that they spin. And I'm not a Trump supporter, okay? I want to make that clear. He might actually be a free agent that they're afraid of, or he's also playing his part to his masters. And right now, either way, it's collapsing the current system so that they could usher in their own systems. That is the whole point of the totalitarian states and martial law implemented from both sides. So we'll see what happens, because this is all just going to play out. So you might as well get comfy and view it from like entertainment and get the popcorn, because you're just going to be constantly onslaughted, and they're going to be using division tactics to pit yourself against others and your family, because that's why the family unit is being attacked, because we are stronger together. So they have to induce so much trauma and create a sick, toxic culture so that these things keep playing out over and over and over again, because that division, the divide and conquer, is what they're doing every day. That is the whole point. Divide and conquer. I want you to see it for what it is, so that you don't get trapped on either side. You don't get trapped arguing with others. You accept people for where they're at and the awareness that they have. And if their own trauma is playing out, we must understand that and realize everyone is not a victim. and they make their own choices, and what we do with it in our reality, the boundaries we have, including energetic boundaries and where we give our attention, is our right. And that you don't need to control someone else when you have your own problems to focus on. So just learn discernment, because it doesn't mean that you're in the right or that you're morally superior. You're just seeing things for as they are. And some people try to gaslight you and tell you you're a horrible person because you're not claiming free Palestine or whatever. And that's fine. People say what they want. So in order to do this work, you have to be willing to be misunderstood, to receive, criticism from others. And you don't have to explain yourself, and you don't have to give into it either. You could just leave people where they are, block them if you want. There's nothing wrong with that. You do not have to be someone's savior, just someone who doesn't want to be saved and just wants to keep playing things out. You are allowed to remove yourself and put your attention where you want, okay? So the division tactics are like creating sides, focusing on identity politics to really divide people and making enemies out of one another, both externally and within ourselves. Why so many people have a sense of self-loathing, and that comes from our programming and how they pit us against each other all the time, and the traumatic effects from warfare that they keep using as a tactic to conquer us and to bring in different states of control. So that's what this World War III is about, is bringing in the technocratic state, which is about surveillance and AI and trapping us in this 3D realm, including like uploading our consciousness, our soul in this lifetime, to keep us trapped in hell. And that's what the devil does. The devil keeps us trapped while we keep coming back to earth and living this out until we realize the truth and we go to heaven and our souls never come back here. So that's what I'm doing in this lifetime, because I do not want to come back. The devil could kiss my butt. And I will not give in to him. And I am uncorruptible. Like, I don't mean to say that to tune my own horn, but I live by wholesome values like integrity and honesty and accountability. And I just try to do my best every day while raising good humans. And I am not afraid. I am not afraid. I've been through hell and back, and the only thing that could touch me is death. And they can't just kill me. So, well, they might if I keep talking about this, but yeah. So, how to recognize when you're under spiritual attack? Signs include sudden emotional heaviness or anxiety, feeling disconnected from God, spirit, or yourself, cynicism, apathy, or emotional shutdown, increased self-doubt, despair, or intrusive thoughts, and exhaustion without physical cause. That's your biggest sign, is your body is so fatigued under being in a constant stress state, a constant survival state, that you will be exhausted no matter how much rest you get. As long as you are exposing yourself to these things and not doing anything about it, not protecting your energy, not soothing your nervous system, not taking accountability of where you're at in your life and how you contribute to your own problems, you will constantly feel disconnected, angry, fearful, and focused on the wrong things. So it's not always yours. Many of us are transmuting this collective energy. So if you're an empath, which are the people I tend to work with the most, you are probably really feeling it, and your overstimulation and overwhelm from your nervous system constantly being under attack and living a life that isn't rooted in flow and ease and purpose. You are constantly hustling, living that 9-to-5 rat race grind, matrix level living, where you're living in accordance to their rules and their expectations of you from when you were a kid until now, and what they've conditioned you to live by, or you're living a life that is contrary to that. So when we think about spiritual warfare and seeing the illusion and seeing things for what they are, take what is and invert it. And that's how we should be living. So just like them saying that boys could be girls and girls could be boys, evil things are good, good is evil, like everything is inverted. So if you want to start understanding things from a duality perspective, start checking those checks and balances and how we are like hyper masculine focused because of the patriarchy. So it's created weak individuals, including weak men. And now they're trying to compensate their lack of masculinity by claiming to be feminine, and because there's so much in their feminine. So I want you to understand these things from black and white. Not that there isn't any gray area. It's just when you're understanding how the devil works, he just inverts what's good, because the devil is the opposite of God, good and evil. So it's literally just inverted duality on every contextual basis, like all the shades in between. Each shade has its own inversion. So you'll start to see these patterns the more you expand your awareness and you start to use discernment and see things for what they are, not the illusion, because it will become obvious over time, especially if you're in my world, because this is it. This is a lifestyle for me, and I coach others to do this, because the alternative is the attack on your spirit, and they could crush your spirit, and that's what they're trying to do. And I don't want that to happen to people. I want people to heal and to live an amazing life, because you can, no matter what you've been through. I've been through hell. Both my parents died of cancer, and that really, like, I've had spiritual awakenings before that, but that really opened my eyes to how they poison us from every angle possible, and the sinister things that are happening, and how they keep us sick and stuck. So my parents' deaths gave me purpose to live this life as best as I can as their legacy. Okay. So how do you protect yourself from spiritual warfare? Daily practices that build spiritual resilience. You are not reacting, you are responding, and you are starting to change how you react, the coping mechanisms you have, the thoughts that you have. You are starting to change your mind, seeing things for how they are, grounding yourself, implementing better habits that replace the bad coping mechanisms or addictions that you might have, including doom scrolling. It's easier just to replace bad habits with good ones than try to just go cold turkey without any like strategy. So this will help you. So for me, prayer and devotion to God really help with my worrying and my anxiety, because worrying about a problem is worshiping it, and we will not worship false idols. We are meant to worship God, and that is it. So when I start to worry, I pray, and it really helps. It's amazing. And so my devotion to living a God-centered life is what helps me not only carry me through, but it takes away all my stress and all my worry and all my fear, because I could just give it to God, and He gladly holds it all for me, no matter how heavy it is, as well as everyone else's baggage and shit who relies on God. He is solid, and it really helps me ground myself. So energetic hygiene is what's important. So if you're an empath and you're absorbing all this shit, and it's affecting the stuff that you're bringing in, because when you're manifesting outside of the mind, and at this point it's unconscious and survival, you are magnetizing everything at that frequency, which is the yucky fear, anxiety stuff, and you're more or less stuck in that survival state. So when you raise your frequency by just simply cleaning it and getting rid of the clutter and the baggage that weighs you down and keeps you in that dense state in the physical realm, you start to able just lift, and your spirit softens, and your body releases tension, and you ground yourself in presence and mindfulness, knowing that you are safe right now. So just sit with that and realize you are safe right now, almost 100% of the time, unless you are in a dangerous, dire situation or like a freak accident or something. Most of the time you are safe. Like right now, I'm sitting in my room. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're talking about World War III, but my children are playing outside with their dad while I record this episode. It's beautiful out. Nothing's harming me. It's to do the work is to feel safe in your body, and that's what's going to get you to get through this, because you're not being attacked. You are not safe. You are not running away from predators. It might feel like you are, but you're literally just sitting here looking at your phone. So energetic hygiene, like clearing and grounding, and sealing your energy, salt baths, walking barefoot, visualization using smoke and sound to clear the energy, clear your space, especially if you've spent time with someone who's draining or you have toxic relationships that you are attached to. Boundaries and clearing your energy is what's going to keep you protected. So boundaries with the media and yourself as well. Like, boundary with yourself regarding media would be, I'm not going to look at the news ever. I'm going to get rid of all the news apps on my phone. There's no way to scroll on my home screen to the news side. No way to look at the news. And if it comes up, I'm either going to run away, close my phone, close the app, because of why? If you see that and that's the first thing you see, just put it in your phone down. So having boundaries with yourself is most important, because what will you tolerate? What kind of abuse will you tolerate from the people in your life, your own criticism, the institutions who shit on us and think we're dumb, that we don't see through this nonsense? Like, it's all just insulting. So really take care of yourself and have boundaries with yourself and how you spend your energy and how you keep cycles of bad habits going, and the victim mindset and the scarcity mindset. These are all things that you need to own so that you can start implementing healthy boundaries with yourself, including, like, I'm only going to look at social media for an hour on my phone. And next thing you know, you're scrolling for like 6 hours straight. Like, these are boundaries you need to have with yourself. So how you spend your time and your energy is super important, and who you spend your time with and the things you focus on are all things to start to become aware of, so that you can start implementing better boundaries with yourself, other people, and the portals that are being constantly opened that suck you in. So that's a whole other different episode about how portals are made and how we create our own open portals. And when you don't close them, and you don't have energetic boundaries, and it might be so woo-woo, but these things are real. Energy is so real. And when we have open pockets or our chakras are imbalanced, we're leaking energy, and that goes into other portals that affects our resonance and our frequency that entities could come in through. So depression, for example, might be an enemy or a demon or a spirit in your mind that has come through the portal of constant worrying. So I don't want to get too into it and how it works in this episode, but when we seal these portals, especially when we become conscious of these things and we start to consciously open them, then we will learn to make sure that they're closed. So over time, no matter how spiritually disciplined you are, you should constantly be at least cleansing your energy to close portals. So let me know if you want to know these things in the comments, because I will make more episodes if that's what you want, if this interests you. So you can use scripture or mantras or spiritual texts, like reading the Bible, maybe every day or every morning, really helps you get through the day to maintain this higher state. So this is for recalibration, like protective psalms and sacred affirmations, like I am safe in my body, nothing can touch me. Just using the spoken word to set your intentions also protects your energy. So use nature, spend time in nature. Go touch grass is a comment for a reason. Is to reconnect you to the divine order and natural rhythm of life. And you will realize, once you start to tune into nature, how life reflects that, and how we go through cycles, and how even during when things are cold and desolate and dark, and the dark is always darkest before the dawn. The night is always darkest before the dawn is the next phase. So no matter how dark and desolate things are, that duality, that contrast is always coming after it. So if you've been going through a period of struggle for the last 4 or 5 years, numerologically and astrologically, we are in a completion cycle. So you might notice that friends are turning into enemies, or things you once loved aren't serving you anymore, or you're leaving a toxic job that has been weighing you down for a long time, or you're noticing more people are having breakups in their lives or divorces. This is all part of nature and that natural rhythm of new cycles coming, but also comes with death and desolation, and it follows death and desolation. So if you've been struggling, I feel like now energetically, collectively, we're entering like this new age of light because of how dark things are, and the division that they sow just becomes so extreme and so ridiculous that more and more and more people are waking up. And I hope that you've been noticing that, because that's what's going to give you hope. So that no matter how bleak things are, they're shooting themselves in their foot. They think we're dumber than we actually are, and we are more adaptable than they think. This is why they spend so much time and energy and money trying to program us and condition us and poison us and enslave us, because they cannot control our free will, and we can opt out of fear and opt into sovereignty. So as we start to close down, and this has been a great discussion so far, I want to make the bigger picture more clear for you and your role in that bigger picture. We are not powerless. We have choices. We have choices at every second, no matter how addicted someone is. It does not behoove them to keep thinking that they will always be addicted, or always call them addictive, and how that onslaught on our identity with these labels doesn't serve us, and that we don't have labels and boundaries as our natural state. We are a unified consciousness, and that these things, these labels, only serve to keep us trapped. So the light is not weak. Good will always overcome evil. It doesn't matter how dark something is. If there is a source of light, you will see it because of how dark it is, no matter what. And your energy is the weapon when you are aligned with your purpose, when you are mindful of how you spend your time and your energy and your attention, and anchoring into that sense of peace, knowing that you are safe every moment unless you are in actual danger, and that you have the choice to not look at things that you don't want to look at, to not support things that don't really require your support, or to surround yourself with people who feel good on your nervous system. You always have a choice to leave a bad situation to enter a better situation. So anchor into that sense of peace and love and forgiveness for how you've been living up until now, and the people you might have, tolerated in your life because you didn't want to lose them, or you were afraid what they were going to think, or you're just aiming for their validation while sacrificing who you really are. So anchor into that radical sense of love and let the clarity come to you, because once you start to connect to the divine, he will start to talk to you. God will start to guide you, and I want you to lean into that, because this is what's going to save you. So you were born for these times. You were here to contribute to the collective, whether that is to uphold certain paradigms that are bad for us, because everyone is just trying to do their best, no matter how evil they are. They are just, as a being, they are just trying to survive in a world that is so divided by duality and labels and barriers and just 3D physical things, when we need to realize that our real state is blissful and unified. So you are here to help change the collective, and I hope it's to change it in a good way by focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't control, and being the change that you want to see, and living up to the values you want to uphold that feel good to you. And you are here to change the times, not to escape them, but to transmute them. And to speak to those who are feeling helpless, you don't have to fight, you just have to align. Align with your purpose. If you don't feel like you have purpose, think of your strengths, or making changes on a macro level, like helping someone who needs help. Someone the other day in the grocery store dropped a whole case of cans, and they felt so embarrassed. I could feel it, and I picked up on it, and instead of like doing what normal people do, like ignore it or side eye or gawk, I just helped this lady and I picked her up. And knowing that I make a difference like that to just someone in passing has huge impact, because that goes forward. So make the difference in your own life to feel good, because that is your purpose. You are not insignificant. Your actions echo throughout your whole life, and they impact others. So start spreading joy and forgiveness and maybe compliment a stranger or have a nice conversation with someone that actually says, wow, that felt good. And I've done that. I've had conversations for people because my strength, my gift is to help people feel safe and seen and not judged and validated, because I can look at their shadow because I've done the work to look at mine, and I work on my reactions, and I work on just spreading good faith and being kind. And that doesn't mean that I'm like a doormat or that I have to be nice to everyone no matter what. Kindness is a virtue. And so I know that makes a big difference in the world. So even if I could just make one person's day different, that's enough for me. I've served my purpose, and it feels good to do that. So you could also practice daily spiritual protection rituals. It's not just how you move through life and the resilience you have, but also like the rituals that once you set, they're there to protect you like magic. So in the morning, claim your sovereignty by saying, I am divinely protected and aligned with God's will today, not the devil's. Do a midday check-in. Release what isn't yours. All the stuff you picked up from the morning. Maybe you've had a chaotic morning at work and you were affected by everyone else's bad mood, or someone projected their bad mood and you picked up on it because you're trying to control them, or you just feel it and you've absorbed it. Check in with yourself and just release everything that isn't yours. Maybe go to your car for lunch and just relax and just ground yourself in the middle of the day to kind of give yourself a reset so that you're not burning yourself out. And at night, you can do like a clearing. So the morning is for like intentions, and the night is for releasing, which is about getting rid of everything, clearing that energy, asking for divine protection over your mind, body, and spirit in your sleep, because that's when you are asleep, the enemy is still attacking you, and we feel it in our dreams. So it's important to start to become aware of also dream life and to start interpreting what it's trying to tell you so that you can make changes in your waking life. And that's like a really good way to quantum leap and to protect yourself and to resolve like any recurring nightmares from PTSD or things that you're struggling with that you're not acknowledging in your daily life. This will help give you even more awareness and help you be more mindful and centered and present in your waking life. And that just keeps you focused, keeps your attention focused. So just to close, this is reclamation and empowerment. This is not about fear. This is the age of spiritual maturity where people are healing themselves on a level that is ancestral and past life regressions, and also collectively. So this is no savior is coming to save you. Blue, red, Trump, Kamala, whoever. They are never meant to save you. They are serving the higher power in terms of Satan and the elite and how they control us. They are only puppets, both sides. No matter how convincing they are, politicians are liars and they are self-serving. And it is just, they call it political theater for a reason. So know that this isn't an argument, and I will not hear it. If you are not the right person to hear this, I accept that, but do not argue with me, because no one is coming to save you. You are not a victim, and you have the choice to make different decisions in your life. We are vessels, so everything is impermanent, everything is passing, and no matter how bleak it seems, you will always get through to the other side until you are done with your time here on Earth. So I want to end with a powerful affirmation. I walk in the light of divine truth. I am shielded in grace, aligned in purpose, and fearless in faith. No weapon formed against my soul shall prosper. I am a guardian of peace in these times of war. You are here to change the collective and to bring in the dawning of the age of light, which is happening in this present time. We've been in the ages of darkness for 2,000 years, and now it is the age of Aquarius, literally, which is the dawn of light. So I hope that you embrace that. I hope that you realize that everything is serving its higher purpose, and that you do not need to be afraid. And if you'd like to join me in my new community membership for only $5 a month as a beta tester and a founding member with the Temple Within, I want you to learn to live a God-centered life from the perspective of your higher self. And I want to help you access the God and the divine that exists within you, and to have the trust to be able to do that and to do the work and to show up and devote not only to devote yourself to God, but also to yourself and your actual purpose here on earth. So if you'd like to join me, and if that interests you, I'll leave the link in the description, and you could take advantage of this beta offer and contribute to something much bigger than yourself. And that would be the perfect place to start, is by helping me build this community and learning to live a God-centered life so that you could wear him as honor. He could carry everything for you, and you just live in alignment with your highest timeline, your highest purpose, your highest truth. So if that interests you, I would love to have you. You'll help me make it amazing for future members, and the price will increase when everything is built and everything is thriving. So if you want to take advantage of the $5 a month, please do so. See the link in the comments. That's it. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful for you. I hope it gave you some perspective. If it did, I'd love to hear any insights or aha moments in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Even if you just tell me you want to hear more or more podcast episodes from the Third Eyed Wide podcast, I'd love to hear it, please. I am here to serve and I'm here to help you. So please let me know. I would love to hear from you. And I hope you have a great day. I love you so much. Bye.